There he is,
Yeah.
with the soundtrack of his own. What's up, Ro? How's it going, man? Can you hear me, brother? Maybe he went to a quiet spot. Well, we'll let him get his bearings there, but we definitely want to get the context and the comments from when they're like, what are your take on that? Like, we know, like I said, what are your take on the channels, but both for and against the Go debate, right? Who are the extremes, right? Obviously, they developed because of each other. A couple pop up that worship LeBron, hate Mike. Therefore, you're naturally going to have channels that subsist on bashing LeBron James. You know, those exist just basically to cancel each other out, right? Uh, and so, with that being said, it's like we want to try to avoid those because they're one dimensional. And the sin that both of them commit is they really don't use context. They don't really don't use truth, reason. Their takes are easy to pick apart, right? On both sides. And that's when you're not really discussing basketball. That's when you're not really a fan of the game. You're just a fan of one person, right? And that's how narrow your knowledge base is. Because you only get the things that support your arguments. You're obviously like you don't really want to talk about these players. You don't want to really discuss the game. You don't want to discuss matchups. You don't want to discuss, you know, legacies, anything like that. You just want to exist to denigrate or raise up one single individual, right? And you're 100% right, Ironman. I can and have criticized LeBron. I'll keep doing it. And you know where I rank him, you know? And you do that in, like I said, when I debate I've debated for LeBron, I've debated against him. And I've done so because you can, and it's healthy to do that, right? And I've debated it where I match him up and whatever the case is. Like his lowlights don't knock him for me, but the fact that you find yourself, or whenever you get away from doing that, and you feel yourself wanting to just say no, 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 I can't have an honest discussion about this player. That's when you should check yourself. I mean, like, am I listening to the wrong people? Am I reading the wrong things? Where did I go wrong? Because that's when you get into territory where you just kind of need to make a clean break from whatever is kind of influencing you in that direction. Because then you start to not enjoy the game of basketball, right? Because you're hyper fixated on one team, or you hate the game now because your favorite player is no longer there. You don't love it for its purity, for how it's evolved. You don't like the greats who are moving it forward. You're just about one person. And I meet those people every single day. When I was on GJK, like that was all really, like, we talked to tons of people like that. And you see it every day. You turn on TV, ESPN, and it's really tough to kind of go a day without hearing about some form of that polarizing argument. You know, which is just you know pushing LeBron versus Mike, Mike versus LeBron, and it gets really tiring for real basketball fans like yourself, like me. You know, and so we're not going to do that here. All right, we're gonna, as you tune into our content, we're going to have honest discussions about every player, right? We're going to talk the matchups. We're going to talk about the good times. We're going to talk about what's going on and give our picks, right? And we're not going to be the same. You're not going to tune in and hear us criticizing or just tearing down Michael Jordan and LeBron James just for the sake of doing it. If we're talking about their lowlights, it's just in context of something else, right? And also rest assured that we're not doing it to knock them, right? Or to lower their ranking. Nope, not at all. You know, and that I can say with confidence because anyone who's tuning in here to watch me or to listen to me has heard me for years now going on about that very topic of how I want to be based and objective and how I can argue for and against players easily because I'm like that. All right. And, you know, we want to keep on doing that. And then, you know, um, and then let's see what some of the contacts here. Iron Man says, I think Braun can play a lot of time on the court, and it's either because another team will score on him or not getting back on defense. Yeah, that's true. I mean, he has obviously regressed defensively. especially since 2018 after the injury he had in 2019. He wasn't the same defensively. I mean, I do think sometimes he can be a liability defensively. Other times he can lock in, but he's just not consistent. You're right about that, and I don't think that's a but you're right. He's maintained at least his offensive level higher than anyone else ever, and you expect to see some regression at 39, at 40, 41, whatever it's going to be right now. I believe it's 41 by the time the season's are. But he's that's to be expected. But he's still going to be a top 15 player in the league, right? Top 10, 15 player in the league, hopefully next year. But we'll see. Um, and then Pink Team says that makes you an analyst and a party in the realm of basketball debates, opposed to fans who simply say they love watching LeBron play without more valid arguments than suggest. Yeah, no, exactly, and that's what we're trying to get away from, right? Oh, let me bring my guy CW up here. Hey, what's up, CW? Made it.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I'm just getting home. I thought I'd
Hey,
pop on for a few.
yeah, no, appreciate it, man. We appreciate that a lot. And guys, got a few new faces. This is CW from GoCast Podcast. Amazing basketball mind and a great show. So plug that in. Just to catch you up real fast, C-Dub. I lit off the show by talking about these comments that Richard Jefferson made when he was on this random podcast about they asked him about LeBron's team, the Super Team 2011, and instead of saying, "Hey, you know what that was," instead of breaking it down, instead of saying, "Yeah, these three alphas join each other," it was kind of unprecedented. LeBron two-time MVP, all the things you can objectively say about it. He started going off the handle and was like, "Whoa!" But look at Magic and Larry. Look at Mike and look at Kobe and when they got Gary Payton and Malone. Never minding that they were 40 or whatever, But I mean, I guess the question that raises here is that, and Dakota Brock, we've had that debate, Kobe versus Mike. We've done it. We can do it again if you want. I'll set that up. But my question to CW is, why do you think it's become so taboo, right, to not just mention things about the super team, but anything in general that like these zealots would consider like a low point or knock on LeBron's career? Why do you think, and like, who do you think is responsible for kind of like making that a taboo topic?
Yeah. And what's up, Iron Man? How you doing, man? Um, I don't know. I just think it's some type of war going on, and you it's gotten weird because it seems like one side wants to be right, and in the case of Richard Jefferson, I watched that and listened to it. Charles Barkley was old as dirt when he went to the Houston Rockets with Hakeem, who I don't even know if Hakeem made All-Star after when they joined forces. But I get what he's saying. It's not outside the realm of superstars joining up, and I guess we shouldn't bash LeBron for doing something that others have done. But at the same time, people had a problem with that because we've had such good ambassadors like Kobe, Jordan, Duncan, these guys who stayed with their teams and toughed it out, where it felt like LeBron just he went and teamed up with two guys in their prime, and that's how he won his rings. But that's fine. I mean, winning rings are hard no matter who you team up with. So I think it's just some type of weird civil war that's going on where you can't say anything about LeBron or vice versa. Anything you say good about LeBron, we have to put some negative connotation to it. So, I mean, it's just a weird time when in NBA talk and podcasts, but I know why they do it, because they need viewership. So those are very polarizing topics.
No, you can. I mean, that's a great take. You couldn't be more right. I think that, and I kind of mentioned that too. Like, it's just shock jock stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
and if you say anything, even to try and that goes against that narrative, you're jumped on, you're quickly silenced, you're talked over, whatever the case is. And yeah, I mean, they're just afraid that if you take the totality of someone's career and you talk about it in an open way, I mean, their warped minds think it's somehow gonna, you know, like defeat their argument for GOAT, and they're not really smart enough to kind of incorporate that. And I think that, yeah, you're right. It's a civil war, it's a plague, that we try to get away from, right? Because that just, it becomes, it's almost like a cult, right?
Yeah. I
Where you're
mean,
just,
that's how it feels.
yeah.
But at the same time, I did some research. I did this on a video I did around January. I looked at ESPN's numbers, and I looked at something where Stephen A was talking about Jordan, LeBron and Jordan, and then I looked at they had something talking about Jokic, SGA, and then even talking about LeBron's birthday. The GOAT debate with Stephen A talking about LeBron and Jordan did, like, all of those other videos combined didn't even match up to that one video. So it's just something that everybody gravitates to. I guess we just want to know who's on whose side, and that's compelling talk nowadays. But I was just surprised that LeBron's birthday wasn't celebrated. People weren't going to watch that. Nikola Jokic, who was having a phenomenal season to that point, SGA as well, didn't garner any love or any views or clicks. It was all the GOAT debate. So it's just, yeah, it's just a weird time that so many people just gravitate to that, and that's all they want to hear about.
Yeah. And I think a little bit of a degree, like you're right. They want to hear that they're validated, right? And they feel so strongly about it. It's almost like a love-hate thing where they want to, and it's almost political to that degree where it's just like they want to be in an echo chamber. They want to have their viewpoints reinforced. And not even from it's not even about the sport at this point. It's just about I'm so, heated about my guy being better than your guy. And it's just it's emotional, and yeah, you're right. That leads to them, they know what sells, they know what's on fire, and so, the more you do it, and it would be so easy, right, to latch on to kind of that train, that caboose, and just ride it along. But I think it takes more courage what we're doing, right, to kind of
I mean, it's boring to me. Like you said, I was listening to you before I came on here. You were saying how, you have the LeBron James, I guess, cult style creators, and then you have the same with Michael Jordan. That just, I mean, it's okay to enjoy what his career and what he did, but I mean, you don't have to glorify him like he was perfect and had no flaws.
Mhm.
And I think it just gets tiring that, we have channels that just go so far to diminish both of those guys' careers when, I mean, isn't it more fun to talk about the careers of great players and how they shape this game and how we get such good basketball? Like, I don't
You'd like to
understand
think
why.
so.
What you say?
You'd like to think that, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's I think it's tiring because I was really into it when, some of these channels were debating each other, but then it got so, like, toxic and they turned it into just talking about the negatives. I'm like, why, if you're going to do a debate, why don't you talk about the good of each player instead of the negative of each player? So it's like, we know they had flaws, so tell us why they are the GOAT, not why the other guy isn't the GOAT. Tell us why your guy is the GOAT. But they can't do that. They have to spend 8 hours telling us why Kobe is terrible or Jordan's terrible. It's just weird. Oh.
No, exactly. And it gets so repetitive, right? Because it's just like, what you're going to get. And like, you can almost narrow it down to a science at this point, right? Like, you can point to a channel and you know that it's going to be something like that relates to that, right? It's like clockwork.
Yeah, because
And yeah.
FYF asked me to debate, I think it was A Johnny, and I was like, no, because we've heard every single thing why people believe Jordan's the GOAT. There's nothing new. He hasn't played basketball in 20 years. So I'll just be spitting off the same things other people have. And it's just, at this point, he's getting no new accolades. He's getting no new achievements. We know all the stuff he's done. What's the point of debating something when it's been debated to death. Like, can we debate
Yeah,
like me and you when we did our worst playoff performances?
Mm-hmm.
You get to
Because
learn.
that was interesting.
Yeah, you get to learn something. You get to talk about something we don't talk about all the time. And that's to me, that's more interesting than talking about the same Jordan's the first to this, LeBron's the first to this. Who cares? Like, they're both great. Let's talk about something else.
No, exactly. And like, if people can be like, hey, just sit down and be like, okay, cool. They're both great. Let's move on. Let's let's bring some other players up. Let's talk about
Yeah.
other stuff, right? Like we always do. Like we debate different stuff. We talk about different things, and it's like it's just like so because it's just the fact that we're surrounded though by all that, and like it just makes it tough to carve out like your own path, right? But I think that we're starting to do a good job, and that the more we kind of break from the norm, the more we talk about different things, different matchups,
Yep.
actually talk the sport, what's going on, talk team rosters, not sit there and try and bash, one player or the other. Then I think that we'll slowly and surely carve out, and kind of gather the people that we're looking for, right? Like people who want
I
to.
think there are people out there that are kind of getting tired of it. They're hearing the same thing every week. Like, they want
Dude,
something.
even when I was on GJK, that was like in the chat all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, hey, can we do something else?
Yeah, I mean, we know y'all love LeBron. We know certain other people love Michael Jordan. So you've established that. So let's move on to something else.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like it, and at first, it's when you're first coming into like the sport, right? And you see that, it's easy to kind of get swept up in it and be like, oh, hey, yeah, I feel great about this. But when it's every day, it's just like, oh my god, like I just don't even care at this point.
Honestly, I don't see where they can talk about that player all the time. Like, unless you're going to get just super repetitive. But there's only so much you can say about him until it's just repeating the same verbiage over and over.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%.
Yeah.
No, 100%. Like that's that's what actually is kind of be refreshing, guys. And Dakota Brock, that's exactly what we're gonna do. Like we going forward, we're gonna have a lot of new content planned here that doesn't necessarily have nothing to do with LeBron or Jordan. Like they can be included, right? But one thing you'll never see from us here, Dakota, is we're not just gonna have an entire show about how LeBron is great and Jordan sucks or vice versa. Like we're not doing that. That's as CW said, that horse has been not only beaten to death, but like fire branded, like reused into fertilizer. Like it's so dead at this point that like there's literally nothing new you could ever say that like people haven't heard 1,000 times. We're gonna try to bring, a little bit fresh here. All right. And with that being said, look out, guys, for Sunday. We're actually gonna have a head-to-head, and it's Kareem versus LeBron. Now, it's not going to be a bash fest, right? It's going to be two guys who are very knowledgeable and good at highlighting the positives of the career, very nuanced in doing so in CW and casual. And I'm very much looking forward to that one. And then look forward to also. Are you going live tonight, CW? You said?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have to hop off here in a second because I gotta prepare for that. But yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Be sure and shoot me the link to that, man.
What's up?
Be sure and shoot me the link to that.
Okay. Yeah. I'll text it to you here in a minute.
Okay. That's perfect, man. But hey, thanks for coming on, dude. And I'll donate. And like I said, this is great 2 cents out of you. And I look forward to. Well, I'll see you on the show, but also on Sunday for sure.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
All right, man. There he is.
Well, we're not gonna get any type of notification about.
Oh, dude! You know what? I put it up. I swear I put it up 3 hours ago. Got it confirmed and everything, and then I looked about an hour ago, and it was just not there.
Oh my god!
I was like, "What?"
Boy.
It was disaster. But anyway,
Yeah, I see all of this. I'm like, damn.
but we actually had a pretty decent discussion here, and I like that we actually had 11 people. That's crazy right now.
Hey,
But
fans growing.
we're growing, man, especially per capita, right? But I
Yeah.
would say the initial discussion I had, as you can see in the title schedule, was this interview that Jefferson did not interview. He was on the podcast, but he was. They asked him, of course, about. They're like, "Oh, do you think 2011 was a super team?" And he like flew off the handle, right? He was saying, he said no, and then he said all these other teams were super teams instead. Like he said, the Oval Lakers and like the '80s. You know, he was naming a bunch of teams that he felt were super teams, and like, but he was like offended, right? My question, it begged the question, right? Why do you think? And CW was just up here, give a great explanation, but why do you think it's, and who's responsible for, I guess, the movement now that like basically makes it almost against the law to talk about any of the lowlights of LeBron's career, especially when he was in Miami. But I mean, it's just that it's like a push to kind of erase that aspect of it. Where do you think that got started?
I think it got started with either Go James Kingdom or with kids on TikTok. One or the other. I think just people that are fans of this era of basketball, that are fans, because I genuinely think that the more and more people start to grow like less bias of which side of the fence they're on, the more people understand all LeBron versus Michael Jordan is an older era versus the younger generation. That's really all it is. Because majority of the people that are fighting for LeBron fans or not LeBron fans that are fighting for the argument that LeBron is the GOAT, it's people that are younger, the people that were born in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? The people that were accustomed to the 2000s. And I think Ajani is more of a Ajani and B. Lee. They're more of an anomaly than they even know in terms of being fans of LeBron. And I think that the Jordan fans are the ones that were either able to see Jordan play basketball or they were born in the 90s, early 90s, and they heard a lot of the notion of what Jordan was doing, to where that mystique about Jordan rubbed off on them before the era was done. So like I think that, to be honest with you, all of this started with the TikTok generation, or where Johnny came from, which is like Facebook.
No, I mean that's a valid answer. And I mean, like, having spent so much time on that show, I'll tell you that's where I actually heard it pushed more than anywhere else, to the point where we were kind of admonished not to actually do that. And so, I mean, but like Iron Man here says, we're trying to like kind of break away from shows like that, right? Where, and just narratives like that in general, not just them. They're good at what they do, respect, whatever. They're doing what they want. But we want to kind of get to the point where we can, just like people say here, we can have someone as our favorite player or ranked a certain way, but without denying parts of their career, right? We can have an objective, realistic conversation about it. Not in a way that's hating, We just be like, the good with the bad, and admit that every player has low points or whatever. There's no perfect player. And without, getting emotional about it or feeling like it's hate. And it's the players, like, and the sooner we can do that, the better, really.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah. But yeah, we did that, and I mean, did you see that interview by chance? Or
Richard Jefferson? No.
Yeah.
I heard him talk shit about Charles Barkley with Kendrick Perkins
Yes.
on the episode, but That's as far as I because some of the stuff he was saying, even with that, like I'm not a Charles Barkley fan by no sense of the word, but like I mentioning things that person did during in their career is not just because they do wrong doesn't mean you do wrong as well. And I think Richard Jefferson chose the wrong way to approach, attacking his arguments. He more so attacked him than he did attack the arguments. And
Yeah,
by
no,
the
I
way,
agree with that. Yeah,
but
especially because he was trying to say like
mm,
he was trying to say, oh yeah, the '04 Lakers were a super team, and things like he didn't want to talk about. And he said, Hakeem and Pippen and Barkley were super teams, but without any of the obvious context there.
yeah,
And I was like, we were talking earlier, and I said, you know what, you can say whatever you want, and the point is though, I don't like even when you were talking about, you can talk about the 2011 or all that the Miami Heat from 2011 to 14, right? And you don't have to use it in a negative. You can just say, hey, this happened, without following up by saying, and that's why LeBron isn't top 10. And so,
yeah,
it's like with that, I say, if someone says straight up, I'm saying, yeah, I think they were, because that was the only time in history where you had an example of three prime players who were the leaders of the respective teaming up. LeBron was a two-time MVP. Wade had one of the best seasons ever the year before. Bosch was a seven-time All-Star, 2011 dude on obviously a bad team, but that wasn't because of him. And they teamed up. Obviously, you could do different things with that roster, but still, that's not. I don't use that to knock LeBron in his ranking ever at all. But my issue is, obviously, as we're talking about it, was that people are afraid or just against, and they want to. The reason why that's problematic is because they're reaching out to more and more people these days, right?
mm-hmm.
And kind of putting that viewpoint on them. And if they're impressionable, if they're new basketball fans or whatever, they don't know what to think, then it sets them off on the wrong path.
No. Yeah, and to Dakota Brock, who said he was born in 2001 and he's not one of the people who are like Go James Kingdom. If you aren't, I mean, Go James Kingdom is like an extreme side of the spectrum. So I don't think anybody that is watching this stream right now, you should not be using Go James Kingdom as a barometer of how much of a fan you are of a player. Or the same way, you should not be using respect to Dart. Shout out to Dart. You should not be using Dart and Michael Jordan fans are the best in their content as a barometer for how much of a fan of Jordan you are. That those are two extremes. If you're just a fan and you're not even like that invested into the shit of where you're buying all of the merch and you're streaming on a regular basis to to talk about one specific player in a myriad of different ways, you're not them. So it's like you shouldn't be using them as a barometer. And also, like, they're again, if you were born in the late 90s, early 2000s, and you believe that Jordan is still the GOAT, you're a rarity. I don't know how to explain this to y'all. We would have to go to obviously TikTok and Facebook and Twitter, and obviously it's anecdotal because it's from my experience from the fan bases of these particular platforms that we have. But bro, y'all don't realize y'all are more of a rarity on this side of certain opinions than you even know. Most people think completely like left wing of the opinions you have. So just keep that understood. Dog, and then you got somebody that come out of Dart is nothing like Go James Kingdom. Okay, all right, buddy. Okay, you just missed everything. Got it. It's okay.
Well, here's the thing, Helly. Like that, you can say maybe personally, but that content that before it was basically this is they were 1,000% the antithesis of Go James Kingdom. They were just LeBron terrible, Mike great. That was the totality of their content. And like I mentioned before, there are countless shows that are like that. on both sides, right? Like you got, when we talk about good team, but you got things like sports tea, that's exactly, the idea of like Man Down Sports,
Sports and fitness rants.
Sports Fitness Rants. Yeah. There's for everyone, like there's a counter, right? And like, that's where the fatigue comes from, right? So you want to try to get away from that and just kind of be the niche in the middle, which is hard to do, admittedly, in terms of, growing an audience, right? Because, you can't, they're looking for you to do one thing. And so you got to kind of set an example and just, get them used to the idea.
Yeah.
Of being fair.
It's a catch 22. But, I mean, bro, I've said this I think I said this a couple streams ago. Like super teams is a super team. The term super team is turned into whatever the fuck you want to make it. If you believe that the Miami Heat was a super team, but the 04 Lakers wasn't, like, okay, that's your prerogative. Like the definition is not even set in stone. The term super team is not even a legitimate term.
Yeah,
we in the sports world made that a term based upon faulty foundation. So now anytime that you want, you could say a super team is 2 all-NBA players and an all-star. So then somebody will say, okay, was the Oklahoma City Thunder a super team with James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and KD? No, they were too young. Okay, was the San Antonio Spurs a super team with Manu, Tony Parker, and Tim Duncan? No, because they weren't as talented offensively. They couldn't score 20 plus points. Like that, the definition wavers depending on how much how much you give a shit. So like I don't even think that the super team thing is anything to really even talk about, because at the end of the day, you're just gonna goalpost move your way out of that conversation every single time, because there is no set in stone definition.
That's true. That's a great point. And you're right. I mean, there is no definition, and you can tell that by how many teams that magically pop into their head, right? When they try to say that. And there's no set. It's just like kind of what narrative you're trying to push at the same time. And that's why I think it's important to not let things like roster configuration determine where you rank players, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just because it's not fair. They're not sitting there, making the calls or you're writing the checks. So, it is what it is. But let me see.
Thanks.
We got Mr. Speech in here. How you doing, man?
Roski.
You were up here earlier. You left. You back?
His mic might be tripping.
His mic might be tripping out. He's still in Brazil right now. But let's see if we Woodage. You're right. There is no such thing as a perfect player in any sport, let alone the NBA.
Facts.
And we're under no such delusions. I mean, obviously some people are, but we're trying to break the mold, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Well, if you can't hear us, bro, then we'll just probably meet up on CW's live. You probably heard about that, Casual. If you're trying to hang around, it's like 15 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, but we'll probably hop on there. But for everyone who joined, we had for us a massive. We had ourselves a massive following today. We topped out at 11 people watching in the live chat, which was phenomenal. For usually it's like 1. So hopefully that continues to grow. We topped 100 subscribers. Let's go for 1 million.
Hey.
And but we had everyone here, and that kind of wraps it up. We had a great discussion. CW, again, we thank CW and obviously Casual. Last words though, Casual. Go ahead and plug in, and we'll do that.
Oh, make sure to follow me on YouTube at Hoop Conductor. I post regularly on every 2-week basis, especially once the season starts. Please follow me on Casual Reacts, especially when the season starts, because I'll be going live during the season, live streaming games, and follow us on Playback. Me and a lot of the content creators that you guys know and love will be on there shooting the shit and sometimes playing little mini games. So please check it out.
Awesome. And I took your advice, and I'm gonna hook up into that.
There we go. There we go. Shit, hit me
Yeah.
on the back channel. Hit me on the back channel so I can add you into this group chat.
Okay, I will for sure. You said you use WhatsApp, right?
Yeah, we using WhatsApp.
Okay, we'll do. All right, guys. But hey, that's been another episode of Equilibrium. Look out for probably our new time, because I'm pretty sure my work schedule is going to be crazy. But I'm trying to move this to Saturday, and so Saturday will probably be permanent home for it, just so we have like a packed weekend full of content. And be sure and tune in, guys, on this Sunday, because we got your boy Casual here versus CW. Should be a lively debate. Kareem versus LeBron, and it'll be between two of our Titanic dudes who are pretty seasoned in debates. So that should be a good one. I can't wait for that one. But thanks for joining us, guys. And yeah, if this channel, or if you guys want to probably tune in to, is that on CW channel GoCast?
You talking about today's stream? Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
GoCast.
Tune into GoCast, guys. GoCast Hoops. It's going to be a good one, pretty sure. So we'll see you guys. But hey, take it easy. Have a great Wednesday, and we'll see you next time.